one of my most powerful motivational frames is thinking about the person that I want to become as the destination, and thinking like, I want to be bulletproof. I want to be bulletproof in these ways. I want to be bulletproof in my marriage. I want to be bulletproof in my business, etc. And I think about that man, whoever I want him to be. Like we said, hell is when you look at who you could have been and realize that you're not that person. And then I think, if I were to make that man, what would I put that man through to make him who he is? Like, it wouldn't be easy times. It wouldn't be quick wins. It wouldn't even be easy wins. It would be the toil and the struggle of achieving and reaching for things that are right out of grasp, that are right above my threshold, and continuing to do that to like lift the weight, to build the muscle, to break it down and do it over and over again, because like that's what creates the character traits that are the man that I want to be. And so when I'm going through those like really harder times, I like to think of like looking in my mental mirror of like, I'm making you. I'm not there yet, but I'm making you.
I've learned over time is that almost all like truly exceptional and mentally strong people have been through hell. It's very few that put themselves through hell when life is great. It's just not usually the case.
I don't believe in talent. I'm here because I worked hard my whole life. Without that work, no one in this room would know who I am except my family. So to all the kids around the world watching, paying attention, and aspiring to be like one of us or even on the stage someday, put the work in and watch the magical ride you go on.
Is I know that there's really no one out there grinding like me. If I know about you, I'll make sure that I up my game. That's what the mentality is all about. My whole thing is a mentality thing. I view myself as the weakest person on the planet Earth. My goal in life was to, in my mind, believe I'm the hardest man alive. And that's why the whole thing is can't hurt me. That's what it's about. It's about whatever you think you are, you have to make that dream a reality. But that's where the hard part is.
I wasn't invited to parties or friendly gatherings on the weekend. So on Fridays and Saturdays, I would go in my rec room with my basketball and basically dribble myself to sleep. And I think that was the best thing that could have ever happened to me, because during those lonely hours in the rec room, I discovered the hunger, the motivation, and the desire to be the best possible basketball player that I could be.
You know, if you want to do something and you want it that bad, you'll make sacrifices. And, growing up for me as a kid, I made a lot of sacrifices that I didn't seem that they were a big deal, and I don't think of them as being a big deal right now. There were Saturdays or Fridays where, I'd give up going to a dance or hanging out with my friends because I had work out the next day. But those things that I gave up, were things that I wanted to help me get to my goal. And there were times where I've been put in uncomfortable situations, but I've used my mental power, my mental strength to push through it. Some of the best athletes, or the greatest athletes in the world, do things when they're uncomfortable. Everybody can compete when they're feeling good, happy, excited, rested, but it's the best people who can overcome when they're tired, sore, not in the great mind, not in the best mindset. And I think mental power that the greatest athletes have can push all the pain aside. But, I said to myself, I'm going to do this and no one's going to stop me. And I think that's the biggest thing, is how strong you can be mentally. But I think that really shows who the person is. So I think that's one thing that separates the good from the greatest.
Feelings has nothing to do with it. This is my dream. This is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to do the things that I don't feel like doing. I'm going to do the things I don't want to do. I'm going to do the things that don't come easy to me, that do not come natural to me. I'm going to get up and do it. You can't live your life on feelings. You're going to have feelings, okay, but you cannot let your feelings dictate what you are or are not going to do.
What are you willing to give up? What are you willing to sacrifice? What are you willing to forgo? Because a lot of people, like this guy came in one time, I was a trainer, and he goes, man, I can stop doing anything but my frappuccinos. I go, fuck, leave. Because I'm looking for that person like me. People, it's hard for people to understand how I lost 106 pounds in less than 3 months. I sat down at the table and I said to myself, what are you willing to give up? Everything. And when people come to me with that kind of mindset, I can work with you. When you are willing to strip yourself down to nothing and give everything, that's who I want to work with. Because now I can mold you into exactly who you want to be.
And the truth of the matter is that most of you don't understand the effort, the time, the focus, the obsessiveness that's required to do something great with your life. Right. You want to do something great, you better be great at it. Greatness rises. But you have to get great, and you have to be intentional, you have to be obsessed.
Maybe I can be that. And after becoming this guy, that is the biggest thing I can ever do in my life, is I became that guy. That I once looked at all these guys, now look at myself like, God, who the f*** can do that? I can. But what it takes is a discipline that no one can ever even, they don't understand it.
You can accept that the work that you have done has created the outcome that you've created, but you do not need to accept that the outcome that you've created is the end all be all and the last outcome that you need to have. And so for me, like, the only version of acceptance that I have is that I accept that the version of myself that I want to be is so far from who I am, that I have this massive discrepancy that I have to overcome. And then just breaking that down one step at a time and thinking, I don't deserve to be that man, but I can still do the things that can create it. And that also means that I have to go through the circumstances that would create that man, which means that if I have unbelievable big dreams and big goals, then I have to go through hard times. It's like hate. The hard times are a requisite for success. And so if you're going through hard times right now, it means that you're on the path to success. And it's not that you're on the wrong path, it's the feeling of being on the right path.
If you can get a mental image of the person you would most like to become, begin now to act as that person would act in everything you do. Gradually, imperceptibly, you will actually become that person. It goes back to what the great German poet and philosopher Goethe once said. Before you can do something, you must first be something. Before you can do what you would most like to do, you must first become the person who can do it.
Because you might as well be dead. Seriously, if you always put limits on what you can do, physical or anything else, it'll spread over into the rest of your life. There are no limits, there are only plateaus. A man must constantly exceed his level. You want to get up every day and try to be better than you were yesterday in business and life and everything.
But the game is to be better. How do I be better than what I was? Because if I do that, for me, I just beat me. This ain't about nobody else. I don't give a fuck about nobody else. I just beat me. If I can keep beating myself, if I can keep doing that, then that means that I'm in a battle with the only person that fucking makes sense. I'm in a battle with the only person that I really want to beat, and that's me.
The world is there for the taking for anyone who can learn from their mistakes, do what they say they were going to do, and stick with it, even if it's not sexy. What used to make a man acceptable now makes you extraordinary. The bar for winning has never been so low.
And my personal question to you is, why not you? We all ask why we should work this hard. Why take that many classes? Why put yourself through the push-ups and the disciplines? Why? Good question, why? Best answer to why, I think, is the second question. Why not? Why not see how many books you can read, how many classes you can take, how many skills you can develop? Why not see how valuable you can become to the marketplace and to your friends and to your family? Why not see what you can make of yourself? Why not see how far you can go, how much you can see? That's the heritage all of us have, to see what we can make out of our lives now that we've been given this extraordinary opportunity.
How can I deal with the fact that this is painful for me? And the answer is, the fact that it is painful is the reason that it's working.
Yeah.
That if it wasn't you stepping out, everybody else that has to try and step out into this new life faces this same thing too. Every single person does. That's why most people don't do it.
Yeah.
Like, this is what hard feels like, and this is why most people don't win. So continuing to push through and almost seeing that level of discomfort as a signal, it's like a way marker that's been planted in the ground. Yes, more this way.
Because that's the other thing. A lot of people, their excuses are, it's easier said than done. It's too hard, right? This is really basically what your story is. That's the story you've told yourself, that it's easier said than done. You know, it's kind of hard to do that. Well, it's supposed to be fucking hard. Look, if growing stronger and building muscle were fucking easy, you'd have no reason to go to the gym. There would be no growth if there was no challenge. And that's my invitation to you, is to realize that it's supposed to be fucking hard. It's supposed to be difficult. If it wasn't difficult, then there'd be no growth. There would be no resistance. There'd be nothing to force you to grow stronger with.
We're built to walk uphill. And when you reach the pinnacle of the hill, you want to stop and appreciate the vision, but the next thing you want is a higher hill in the distance, because it's from the uphill climb that we derive our value. And I mean this technically. So almost all the positive emotion we feel, that's experienced in relationship to a goal. And so in some sense, you want a goal that you can never attain, right? So you can always move closer to the goal that recedes as you move towards it. You think, well, that's frustrating. It's like Sisyphus pushing the rock uphill. But it's not, because as you pursue that goal, you put yourself together and your life does get better and richer and more abundant. You want them to be above everything you're doing so you can continually move towards something that's more sublime and better. That's what you are. You're here to live, not to sleep.
Everything worthwhile is uphill. Everything. There is nothing in your life that's worthwhile, that's quick and easy. It's all uphill. You have to fight for it every day. You have to climb for it every day. Now the problem is, we have downhill habits. And the only way that you go uphill is by self-discipline. Nobody will carry you uphill. Nobody can coach you uphill. Nobody can push you uphill. If you go uphill, you got to do it yourself. There are no free rides uphill. There's no such thing as accidental achievements.
You're going to lose sleep. You'll doubt whether it'll work. You'll stress to make ends meet. You won't finish your to-do list. You'll wonder whether you made the right call and have no way to know for years. This is what hard feels like, and that's okay. Everything worth doing is hard, and the more worth doing it is, the harder it is. The greater the payoff, the greater the hardship. If it's hard, good. It means no one else will do it. More for you.
Tell me one thing in your life that is great that came as a result of being comfortable. Because everywhere I look and everywhere I see in today's society, everybody's doing everything they can to be more comfortable, right? They're looking for the more convenience. They're looking for the quicker. They're looking for the faster. And see, there's opportunity in that for those of you that want to get better. Because I'm going to tell you right now, all the great things in my life, all the great things in other high achievers' lives, all the reasons that these successful people that you look up to, that you aspire to be like, are the way they are, have all come from a place of being uncomfortable.
You don't go through no type of pain, you're not a man, bro. And like, it doesn't matter the age, it matters the trauma, it matters the pain, it matters the things that you know, the wisdom that you've learned, the experiences that you've had. If you go through difficulty, you will learn from it. You can't run from difficulty, you can't run from pain. Those things are going to build you into the man that you need to become. Those things are going to build you into the warrior that you know you are supposed to be in the first place. You are God's warrior. You are here to be a king. You are here to elevate, right? You're here to be the best version of yourself. That's going to take some pain because we can't learn from everything being good. What can we learn from that? What can we learn from perfection? What can we learn from that? We can't learn nothing from that. You got to earn it. You gotta earn it. You gotta earn a better life. You gotta earn being a man. You gotta go through them pains.
Like, difficult things make regular life less difficult. And it sounds so simplistic, but particularly physically difficult things. Because when you do things that are physically difficult, the strain of making yourself do those things, it's very valuable. It's not just valuable in terms of like health and the way you look, but it's also valuable for your mind, maybe even more so. Because regular life can be confusing, and little things that go wrong and little problems that arise are exacerbated by the fact that you're not accustomed to dealing with hardship. So creating your own bullshit, whether it's through fucking some brutal kettlebell exercise or running up hills or something, is extremely valuable for you also, not just accepting the nuanced perspectives of other people, but also being able to navigate through this world with some sort of an understanding of just how complex it all is and how weird it all is, and not be overly thrown off by every little dip in the road and pothole that you encounter.
Okay, so understand that when you're trying to avoid the pain, when you're trying to avoid the struggle, when you're trying to avoid the hard things in life, you are actively choosing to be average. You are actively choosing to be mediocre. And you are actively choosing to move further away from what you want in life. Because that hardship and that pain and that struggle and that frustration, they give you the skills that will forge you into a motherfucking champion. All right, so remember that shit when you try to take the easy route. The easy route never pays well. The only route in life that pays well is the hard route, the struggle, the pain, the frustration.
And that's why I say the most important reason, the most important thing, the most important gift that you receive by taking action in the direction of your dreams is not attaining your fucking dream. It's you growing stronger and becoming a stronger version of yourself through the challenges, through the resistance, and because it's hard.
Life is going to happen. And you're going to set up a plan, and you're going to have a vision, and you're going to hope that it's going to turn out perfect. But what so often happens in life is that things get burned and things go the wrong way. And it's in that moment that you're going to have to choose your reaction. You have a choice to make. Do you have the right reaction, or do you have the wrong reaction? You have to get up.
Sometimes life will take you to your knees. Sometimes you have to cry. Sometimes will hurt deep inside. In time of adversity, you don't have an obstacle to deal with. You have a choice to make.
You will fail. You will likely fail often. It will be painful. It will be discouraging. At times, it will test you to your very core.
You're thinking about quitting. You're thinking about giving up. You are folding. You are caving in. This is for you. Don't give up. Don't give up. Stay in it. Stay focused.
If it feels kind of dark all around you right now, I want to remind you, it is always the darkest before dawn.
There's one thing about being in dark places. If you have the courage to stay in there long enough, your eyes will start to adjust to the darkness. Your body and mind will always adjust to more suffering, to more pain. If you want to push harder, know this. Your mind quits way before your body does. So you have to be willing to go way into that darkness and find more of yourself.
You gotta look at life when life knocks you down and says, this all you got? The dark? Is this it? I was born in the dark, shaped in the dark, molded by the dark. I will break you. You recycle your pain. You use your pain. You take your pain and let your pain push you to another level. And I want you to hear what I'm telling you. Some of you are soft, but you were born in the dark, and now you're soft. Every time you come up to a challenge, you quit, you surrender, you give up, you give in. Every single time I'm going through pain, I remember that I've gone through pain since I was a kid. I draw from it. Recycle your pain. get something from it. You already in pain. Use it. Do something with it. Allow it to take you to the next level. Allow your pain to push you to greatness. Push through pain enough, and there's glory on the other side. But you gotta get through it.
The sun doesn't shine every day. The storms will come.
If you are going to try something hard, if you're putting yourself out there in some way, there are going to be times where you screw up or you don't succeed. There are times where you do everything right and you still don't succeed. You'll go through some failures.
There will be times when the darkness seems to consume everything.
And many times when those things happen, you want to give up.
But during those down moments, that's where the growth takes place. That's where the work is. See, anybody can feel good when they have their health, their bills are paid, they have happy relationships. Anybody could be positive then. Anybody can have a larger vision then. Anybody can have faith under those kinds of circumstances. See, but the real challenge of growth, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, comes when you get knocked down.
When you're going through tough situations, you got to take that next step. You got to keep moving forward.
You keep standing. No matter how rough the sea, you keep standing. No matter what, you don't give up. You keep standing. No matter what.
We decide which moments define us. Will it be the moment we get knocked down? Or will it be the moment when we get back up? Take that next step. Keep moving forward.
And I think that the most important thing is to learn from those failures and to have a sense of resilience and be able to examine what is it that I did not succeed at, why didn't I succeed, and what do I need to do better.
You lay hold of it. And when that thing tells you to quit, you look at it in his eye and say, I ain't going nowhere. I will break you before you break me. You will not defeat me. You will not destroy me. Some of you are so ignorant. You've been through so much hell. You gonna quit now? You should have quit 10 years ago when he walked out on you. You don't quit now. You should have broke me a long time ago. I'm unbreakable now.
And we've all had experiences where we were working on something and we knew it was possible. And we did those things that were necessary to bring it into reality. We took the responsibility to make it happen. Other people couldn't see it. A lot of people didn't believe it. You were attacked. You were criticized. People were opposing you, but you kept on doing it. It was hard. It was rough. It was difficult. But to you, it was worth it. And eventually you got to a level you know, can nothing stop me now. I'm on the move. I'm on the move.
You can't quit. I know it would be momentary relief, but can you see past the expense to see the benefit?
Life will knock us down, but we can choose, matter or not, to get back up.
That's the only way you ever get where you want to go. You have to take a path that's dangerous, and most people want to take the safe path. And the safe path leaves you stuck in quiet desperation. The way you can change is you have to put aside enough money to give yourself a window, and then you have to have a plan, and you have to spend all your waking hours outside of whatever shit job you do planning your escape. So whatever you're doing, you have to do it like your life depends on it. You gotta go, you gotta get after it, and you gotta have discipline. Most people don't have those things. Most people don't understand what it's like to really go for something and to know that the consequences of not doing that are horrific.
If you need to change your job too, let's say you have a family and children and a mortgage, you have responsibilities. You've already picked up those responsibilities. You don't just get to walk away scot-free and say, well, I don't like my job, I quit. That's no strategy. But what you might have to do is you think, well, this job is killing my soul. All right, so what do I have to do about that? Well, I have to look for another job. Well, no one wants to hire me. It's like, okay, Maybe you need to educate yourself. Maybe you need to sharpen your social skills. Like, you have to think about these things strategically. If you're going to switch careers, you have to do it like an intelligent person. That might take you a couple of years of effort to do properly. We're built for struggle, us human beings. We're built to contend with the world. We're built to contend with reality. You want a challenge, and the best way that you can take on a challenge, because a challenge fortifies you. So you don't want to be secure, you want to be strong. And you get strong by taking on optimal challenges. And so you lay out your destiny in the world, and you take the slings and arrows of fate, and you make yourself stronger while you're doing so. And you might fail, and fortune might do you in, but it's your best bet.
What you're missing is the courage to take action in the direction of your dreams, because it's irresponsible to do what you really want to do, or so we've been told. If you just follow your heart, just follow that strange thing that's happening inside you, you will end up 10 times better, miles ahead of all those people who did what they were told. And those miles ahead are very subjective. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to make more money than them or you're going to be more rich and famous than them, but you will be more at peace. You will have more peace of mind. You will be more in love with yourself and your life. The people around you will enjoy your company that much more. You'll sleep better at night. You'll smile, you'll laugh, you'll dance. You'll enjoy this life 10 times better than if you were to follow what everyone else told you to do. I couldn't have planned that, but I did one thing. I followed my heart every step of the way. It looks crazy in the beginning, but it all starts to make sense as you go down that path. That's why I say you have to follow your heart, not because of the thing that your heart is telling you to do at this particular moment, but because of the journey your heart will take you on. It's gonna take you on a fucking incredible journey. The end point of that journey, or how you fare along that journey, will be filled with love and pleasure and joy because your heart is involved with the work. Ignore sensibility, ignore responsibility, listen to your body, follow your heart, and you'll enjoy this journey of life. It won't always be easy, but it'll be yours.
You don't want to open the door so that every possible snake comes crawling through, because that's a pathway to depression. And you actually see that happening in depressed people, is that every small event produces a cascade through their entire value system, and they end up saying, well, that's just another reason that I should jump off a bridge. And they really see it that way. It's really awful, because they've got no defenses. It's like, well, I didn't do so well in this course. It's like I'm going to get a bad mark in the exam. I'm going to get a bad mark in the course. That's going to screw up my ability to finish my degree. I'm never going to get into the field of my choice. It's just another piece of indication that I'm useless and that life isn't worthwhile. Bang, I'm going to jump off a bridge. And if you're really depressed, it's like each of those things hits you with the certainty of truth. It's really not good. And so you want to be careful. You want to be careful about walking down that pathway. When you make a mistake, you think, okay, what's the narrowest framework of interpretation within which I can understand this that will require minimal behavioral change to decrease the probability that it will happen again?
Most of us go through life with our brakes on, holding back, not giving all that we have, not sharing all of ourselves. Most of us go to our graves still holding on, rather than releasing it. What are some of those things that keep us from releasing it? Because of past experiences, past defeats, past pain. We look back, well, it didn't work out then. It probably won't work out now.
I would also say that if you're one of these people that are struggling with fear, anxiety, worry, all the way up to depression, all the way up to some dark thoughts, all the way to suicidal ideations, that you're loved, you're amazing, you will get through this.
Because let's be real, my friends, the challenges we face in this life, whether it's depression or any other form of adversity, they're not going anywhere. But what we do have the power to change is our response to those challenges, the tools and strategies we employ to overcome them. And when we make the decision to harness the power of discipline, to transform ourselves from the inside out, we unlock an incredible well of untapped potential that has the ability to revolutionize not just our own lives, but the lives of everyone we come into contact with.
Think about the time the earth existed when you weren't alive, and then the time that you will be, and then the time the earth will exist when you're not. You're here for just a flicker. It's a blessing and a gift, and although there are difficult times, there are better times coming.
I'm not saying feeling depressed is not real. Everyone feels depressed. I'm saying the idea of depression as something you cannot control is a dangerous idea and paradigm. The reason so many people are committing suicide is because the Matrix is telling you that if you feel depressed, you cannot fix it. They tell you that depression is a disease that you can catch from the sky no matter how fantastic your life is, and you have no control over it. And I argue that absolutely. The reason the Matrix wants you depressed and sad is because when that happens, you are selfish. If you're depressed and sad, you only care about yourself. You don't care about your community or your family. You don't care about the world. You do not stand up for anything.
See, the last chapter to your life has not been written yet, and it doesn't matter about what happened yesterday. It doesn't matter about the things that you've done that you feel guilty about. If you wouldn't do it today, you're convicting an innocent person. You've been reborn to a new state of consciousness. And as they say, if we knew better, we would do better.
We all wear masks, and so some people, it's very obvious that they're going through a difficult time in their brain or mental health, but some people are great at covering it up, are great at putting on the right face, saying the right things. And so it's not a matter of, in my opinion, just calling somebody. It's go a little deeper. Let them know that if you ever do need something, I'm here. You can call me, please. And to let them know that it's not a weakness if they're feeling something. It could literally be something in their neurochemistry. It could be an imbalance. It could be they're actually really going through a difficult time. And what they're worrying and fearing about is real. And they're trying to process it. It could be a combination of diet and nutrition and brain chemistry and difficult times.
It seems to be associated with the experience of pain, and pain is quite a complex phenomena. Depression is pain-like, grief is pain-like, social isolation is pain-like, disappointment is pain-like. There's anxiety components to that too.
And look, I get it, my friends. Depression can feel like this heavy, suffocating weight that just drains us of all motivation and willpower. But the truth is, it's precisely in those moments of darkness that the power of discipline becomes even more critical. It's because you see, when we're in the throes of depression, when we're being pulled down by that overwhelming sense of hopelessness and despair, our natural inclination is to retreat, to disengage from the world and all the responsibilities and challenges it entails. And I know that can feel like the easiest and most comforting option in the moment. But the problem is, my friends, that's exactly the kind of behavior that ends up perpetuating and exacerbating the depression in the long run. Instead, what we need to do is to consciously and deliberately adopt the mindset and habits of discipline to push past that initial resistance and engage in the very activities and routines that can help lift us out of the darkness.
Having no hope will prevent you from fighting back. They're telling you it's hopeless, and it is not. If you do not believe in depression, like I do not believe in depression, no matter what bad things happen to me and how bad and depressed I feel, I know I can fix it. That will make me fight harder than if I believe I cannot fix it.
There's variability because if something unexpected or threatening happens to you, it isn't obvious how upset you should get. One answer might be, brush it off, it's nothing. Another answer might be, it's a bloody catastrophe. And often when something uncertain or threatening occurs, you don't have enough information at your disposal to make a full determination of the potential import of the circumstance, especially if it's uncertain. And so then you have to guess at how upset you should be and where you are on the normal distribution with regards to trait neuroticism, say, that sort of determines what your guess on average is going to be.
That's because your reality is depressing you. The depression is something deep in your heart and soul telling you that you need to change things. That is the unlimited trauma, the power I was talking about earlier that you can take all of that depression and convert it into unlimited energy to fix your life. Energy cannot be destroyed, it can only be converted. Take the depression and turn it into motivation. And all of a sudden, you'll see how fantastic your life is.
Let's talk about something we've all faced but rarely confront head on: self-doubt. It's that quiet, persistent voice telling you you're not enough, or that the goal is too big, too audacious. But what if I told you that voice? It's not your true self. It's an outdated belief,
a mental limit that doesn't belong to you. Think about this. Every time you doubt yourself, you're setting a ceiling on what you can achieve. And here's the truth, there is no ceiling. The only limits are the ones you impose on yourself. I want you to understand deep in your core that the power to break free of those limits is already inside you. Self-doubt is just fear, and fear is simply an illusion. It might feel real, but it's only as powerful as you allow it to be.
In life, you will encounter individuals who will tell you that you can't do something. They will point to your circumstances, your background, or even your limitations, real or imagined, as reasons for why your dreams cannot be realized. But you must make a critical decision. Will you let their words shape your reality? Or will you rise above their doubts and pursue the destiny that lies before you? Understand this, your potential is not defined by the opinions of others. It is defined by what you believe about yourself. When others tell you that you can't, what they are really telling you is that they cannot. They are projecting their own limitations onto you based on their own fears, failures, or limitations. But their limitations are not yours. The power of belief is the foundation upon which everything else in life is built. What you believe about yourself, your abilities, and your potential shapes how you approach the world and the challenges you face. Your belief system is not just a passive feeling or a fleeting thought. It is an active force that governs your actions, your decisions, and the outcomes you experience. The Bible says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. This is a powerful truth that underscores the importance of belief. It means that the way you perceive yourself and the world around you is what ultimately defines your reality. Your belief becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you believe you can achieve something, your actions will align with that belief and success will follow. Conversely, if you believe that something is beyond your reach or that you're not capable, you will unconsciously limit yourself and the doors of opportunity will close. Belief shapes not only the way you act, but also the way you react to the world. When you have a strong belief in yourself, you will face setbacks, failures, and even criticism with resilience. You will see obstacles as stepping stones rather than barriers. Your belief allows you to push through challenges because you understand that no temporary setback can define your future. The person who believes in their own ability will look at failure not as an end, but as an opportunity to grow, learn, and refine their approach. On the other hand, a person who lacks belief will view failure as confirmation of their limitations, retreating from challenges and resigning themselves to mediocrity.
People have a lot of guilt. You know, there's a line of social psychology that claims that most people feel that they're better than other people. And like, I just don't buy that. That isn't what I've seen in my life. Like, I rarely meet someone who says, hey, you know, I'm doing everything I possibly can. I'm a hell of a guy, and I can't see how I could possibly improve, you know? You meet someone like that, you think they're narcissistic, right? And you're right. But most people don't feel that way. They feel like they could do a hell of a lot better than they are, and they're quite acutely aware of their faults, and they don't feel that they're what they should be. And you see, what happens in the story of Adam and Eve as well is that when people become self-conscious, at least that's how it looks to me, they get thrown out of paradise, and then they're in history. And history is a place where there's pain in childbirth, and where you're dominated by your mate, and where you have to toil like mad, like no other animal, because you're aware of the future. You have to work and sacrifice the joys of the present for the future constantly, and you know you're going to die, and you have all that weight on you. And to me, again, that's just, how can anything be more true than that? That's just, as far as I can tell, that's just how it is, unless you're naive beyond comprehension. There's something about your life that is echoed in that representation.
The power of belief goes hand in hand with the understanding that self-doubt is a form of self-sabotage. Doubt stems from not trusting your own abilities and questioning whether you are worthy of success or happiness. This mental state is a dangerous place to be because it prevents you from acting with confidence. When doubt creeps in, it clouds your judgment and makes you hesitate in moments that require boldness. A person who lacks belief will constantly second-guess their choices and their abilities, even when they are capable of succeeding. Self-doubt breeds fear, and fear paralyzes potential. Therefore, cultivating a strong belief in yourself is essential to overcoming the fear that accompanies risk-taking.
You see, there are choices in life, and we're looking. I want to ask you, what are you looking for? Well, if I can just get drunk, why not, man? I'm only live once. Well, if that's the way you believe, great. But for me, I'm a greedy man. I don't want to live for 90 years. I want to live for billions of years. And I know that every day my choices will affect this life, other people's life, and my eternal life. You got to come to the truth of knowing who you are and why you're here. William Barclay, he said, the greatest 2 days in anyone's life, the day you were born and the day you knew why.
You just do the work and you get there. The human mind, the human body, the human psyche is so pliable. You can literally become anyone and anything. Multiply that over time and experience, and don't quit even when it sucks. But I share this because the doubt of 1,000 people on me is less dangerous than if I had self-doubt. Like, my one self-doubt in myself is more dangerous than 1,000 people doubting my ability to build that franchise, Fit Body Boot Camp, and ultimately, have a big exit. And so the conversation, the most important conversation you could ever have is that conversation that takes place between your ears, right? With yourself. Like, you could sit here, and I know you never would, but if you're like, Bedros, you're gonna fail at your next big business, and then you're gonna fail at the one. Cool, thanks, Nick. Appreciate your opinion, man. And then I could see the guy at my hotel, let's say he says the same thing. By the time I get home tomorrow, 1,000 people told me I'm gonna fail, and I'm never gonna succeed. None of that will impact me. But the moment I allow any one of those seeds to take root in my mind, and I go, maybe Nick's right, it's over. Then I will now find evidence to erode my future.
The problem with self-doubt is that it pulls you into a loop of focusing on everything you think you're lacking. It's like putting a magnifying glass over your insecurities, your fears, the areas where you feel you fall short. But what if, instead of focusing on the gaps, you shift your focus onto the strengths you already have, the wins you've already achieved? Imagine how powerful that would be. Every single person's accomplishments, no matter how small they may seem, these successes are proof that you've pushed through, that you've created results, that you've made things happen in the face of challenges. By focusing on these strengths and achievements, you're essentially training yourself to see who you truly are capable, resilient, and resourceful. And the more you start to focus on these victories, the more your mind shifts from doubt to confidence. Think of it this way: energy flows where focus goes. If you're constantly focusing on what's missing, you'll only see what's missing. But when you start celebrating what you've already done, your confidence grows and your belief in your abilities becomes unshakable. This isn't about ignoring areas where you can improve. It's about building a foundation of strength and resilience that lets you approach those areas from a place of power, not lack. When you choose to focus on your strengths, you're no longer playing the game of doubt, you're playing the game of potential. You're seeing yourself for what you can be, not just what you currently are. And that shift, that's where transformation begins. Self-doubt has a way of amplifying every negative thought, making it seem like the truth. But the reality is, these thoughts are often just stories we tell ourselves. When we start reframing them, challenging the negative, we create new possibilities. If every time a limiting thought shows up, you question and ask yourself, is this really true? Or what if the opposite were true? You begin to see how much power you have over your mind. Think about it. Most of the time, self-doubt is just a knee-jerk reaction, a habitual way of thinking that you've picked up somewhere along the line, but it doesn't mean it's real. And it doesn't mean it has to stay. When you start to reframe those doubts, you're taking control. You're saying, I choose not to accept that limiting belief. Instead of, I can't do this, you might reframe it as, this is a challenge, and I'm going to find a way through it.
You are God's creation, okay? God gave you all the tools, all the gifts, all of the capabilities that you could possibly ever need in order to do what it is you are meant to do here on this earth. Now, the reason that we experience self-doubt is because we exist within the spiritual war between good and evil. What you are after is fulfillment and purpose, and good will give you that. But you have to endure the struggle of today. Evil, on the other hand, will offer you instant gratification. And that's enticing, that's tempting, that's where we get temptation, because it offers us a sense of relief from that discomfort, from that hardship, from that doubt, from that uncertainty. But in the long run, it's a detriment to us. And if we consistently choose evil, if we consistently choose to lead and fall into that temptation over and over and over again, we're going to stray farther and farther away from our purpose of fulfilling our full potential. So that's where self-doubt comes from. Evil understands your weakness. It knows where to hit you and where you hurt the most. So if self-confidence or belief in that you will succeed in whatever it is you were after is a weakness for you, and that's a chink in your armor, evil is going to do anything and everything that it can within its power to keep hitting that spot.
A lot of times when things go wrong, when we're not able to live our dreams, or when our life does not meet our expectations, a lot of times the first step that we take is we start blaming ourselves. We blame ourselves for anything that goes wrong in our life. We must not have worked hard enough. We must not have chosen the right degree program. We may not have chosen the right company to work for or chosen the right industry. We must not have chosen the right community to buy a house or to live in. We must not have made a smart choice with our lives. So we blame ourselves. We say, okay, maybe if we make different decisions, maybe if we knew better, then we would be able to do better. But even the people who have made the best decisions, and even the people who have made the wisest choices without making any mistakes, we can look around and we can see that they're also not able to live their version of the American dream.
You see, you are what you are and where you are because of what's gone into your mind. You can change what you are, you can change where you are by changing what goes into your mind. 98% of the people in our Western civilization have a picture of themselves which is so narrow and so shallow that it literally bears no resemblance to the real person who is there. So many people have been told so many times what they cannot do that they have no idea what they can do. They have no idea what they want in life because they have no idea what is available to them. The picture they have of themselves will not permit themselves to see some of the magnificent things that are available.
Your life doesn't end up in an accident. Your life is a series of actions that you initiate or don't initiate. And that your thoughts are going to control that roadmap. And so how are you using your mind today to either make yourself feel great or not?
So the first thing that we do is we blame ourselves. We haven't worked hard enough. Maybe we didn't make the right decision. A lot of times we blame ourselves with the circle that we have around us. We say, you know what, maybe if I didn't associate with different people, maybe if I didn't have those friends that I held on to my whole life, or maybe if I built my business network a different way, then maybe I would have additional opportunities and the opportunities that I would need in order to live the life that I want to live. But you can look around you and the people who have built their business network, the people who have invested time and energy into growing their professional relationships, even they are not able to relax and enjoy the American dream that they are working so hard to create. And it doesn't really matter what milestone you are in your life. If you're a student or you're a young professional, maybe you're a seasoned professional, maybe you work with your hands, maybe you work in the trades. Regardless of the industry, everyone is feeling the exact same thing. We're all working toward the same things, and we're not all able to enjoy the things that we're working so hard to acquire. Every single year, our dreams seem like they're getting further and further and further away. So the first thing that we have done is we blamed ourselves.
Because it seems like it's always about adding something more. You are learning something because you think you are missing it. You are going to another country because you think you are missing that experience. You are trying out another type of food because you think you are missing that taste. So that means the general idea, which is at the moment existing, is every time when we as humans feel something is lacking, the answer is just consume more, which means just go out and look where are you going to find something that is going to fill up that gap, to fill up that hole that you are feeling. That is the approach that we have outside.
Success should not diminish our desire. If it does, you will not remain successful very long.
Which means something is missing, no problem, somewhere out there it is. You You just pay the money and then you're gonna get it. But by observing this type of behavior, I think you can see that no matter how much you consume, no matter how much of these offerings you are taking, you never become full. It's always only a question of time until your new desire starts to arise.
Quitters have excuses for depression and worry and fear dominating their life. They opt out, they back out, they drop out of every great thing that God has in their future. They quit climbing because it gets too hard. It's not easy. I thought God would just give it to me. No. Life is an uphill climb, but the view up there is worth it. It's easier to quit than endure.
Every time you break, and in every way that you break, while it's a chance, it's definitely a chance for you to give up and for you to just to fall apart. But there's also opportunity. There's opportunity to get stronger and get smarter and get faster and get tougher and get more stable and get more resilient.
There is no reason to blame yourself. Especially not if sometimes these decisions were first-time decisions where you just had no experience before. But this is the whole point why it's important to sometimes be faced with different challenges, with different problematic situations, for you to turn on the intelligence and find a solution. But if after the first time you're already giving up, then there's no outcome. Then there's nothing that you have learned. The only thing that you are remaining right now is regret and sorrow, which is neither going to bring you forward nor anything else, because you have not understood the message yet why you ended up in that situation. You need to overcome it. Your next level of development comes in the moment where level 1 is solved. You found a solution for level 1. Now, challenge number 2. Next level. As long as you don't find the key for level number 2, stay there. Many years repeating over and over again until you see it.
I love guilt. Guilt is a tool. Guilt is a weapon. Guilt does not have to be a bad thing. It's not like I perpetuate, but I'm like, I love that I feel bad when I don't do a good job. Most people hate that about themselves. I love that feeling. I'm like, I didn't do a good job there. Next time I will. So some people, guilt is discouragement. Other people, it's a signal for learning. To me, guilt is a signal for learning. It is the body and the brain, the spirit, knowing what is right, knowing what is wrong, knowing what's great, knowing what's mediocre. And it's saying, hey, do a little better. Now, if it's translated into a negative impulse, then some people call it guilt. But I'm totally cool with guilt. You know what? I think it's good that we feel bad when we do something that is below our standard or that's not right, because that impulse to go, I want to do that better.
When I'm broken, I relish it. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna use it, because if I'm broken, then I just found my limitations. And until I know what my limitations are, how can I push them? How can I get better? But once I see it, once I feel it, once I see where I was broken, then I can attack that weakness. I can fill in that gap. I can reinforce that breach. If you break, it means it's time to fortify your will to make it stronger.
There's nothing wrong with the way you were created. Nothing.
You treat yourself as if you already are what you'd like to become. There's a genius in you. You have to treat yourself as if you already were that genius. There's something you're completely capable of. See yourself as already there. Then you'll act upon those thoughts, because the ancestor to every action, said Emerson, is a thought.
Your destiny is ultimately controlled by a decision you already made this morning. Everyone watching this, already made a decision this morning. This morning, they made it a life-changing, huge decision this morning. And that is either I'm going to get up, enter the world with no intention, go through the motions to hopefully get by or survive, or I am going to get clear in this morning about what I want, what I'm going after, who I'm going to be, how I'm going to serve, and whether or not I'm going to be excellent and extraordinary or not.
You know, every thought has an energy, just like everything else in the universe. And if you have a thought of shame, it will weaken your muscles. And what is your heart but a muscle? If you raise a child to believe in shame and feel ashamed of themselves, every time they think that shameful thought, they will be weakened. And if you have a thought of fear, and if you have a thought of stress, and you have a thought of anguish and anxiety, all of these thoughts and many more are the thoughts that will always weaken you. When you are having a thought that you know is disempowering you, shift it. Shift it to one that is empowering rather than disempowering. And the thoughts that empower are thoughts of neutrality and willingness and love, and ultimately thoughts of divinity.
So if you break, the fight isn't over. In fact, if you break, the fight is just beginning. And as you crawl up and out of that dismal and wretched place, covered, and you're covered in blood and sweat and dirt and filth as you rise above what you were. And as you take the form of who you are supposed to be, you will see that in the very act of standing up, in the very act of fighting on, you will become and you will remain.
You have to fight a war against yourself. Now, it's not easy to look in the mirror and to change your own life. It's hard as hell. You have to take responsibility. You have to learn new things. You have to feel uncomfortable. Good, because discomfort is how we grow. That's how we become strong. If you run away from discomfort and resistance your whole life, you will always be weak.
Personal evolution only happens when there's pressure. The only way you grow is if there's pressure. There's got to be stress.
You have to hit rock bottom. That's the way up. Yeah, rock bottom is beautiful. The struggle of coming back is beautiful. That struggle. It's hard. It doesn't appear like it's beautiful while you're going through it, but it's just you're being tested. And without a test, there's no testimony.
You must go through those ends. Hit rock bottom. Your worst hour of despair becomes your best as you get back up. You learn from that. And you continue to put one foot in front of the other. Because what you're going for is what you believe.
Most people, their associations are to avoid anything that's uncomfortable. But when you look at comfort and you look at success and progress and the feelings of accomplishment and of getting past certain hurdles in terms of like how you feel about life, a lot of those are connected to discomfort. Like discomfort is your friend. It really is. Like discomfort and not being happy and content with certain situations in life or certain feelings in life, they're massive motivators, and they're amazing at facilitating change.
I've been there. I've been there in business. I've been there in my life. And don't think for a minute that there wasn't a time when Chris and I looked around at our empty store and looked around at our bank account and said, man, this is never going to work. You guys have to understand that what you're going through here is normal. I've hit rock bottom. And let me tell you guys something. I can't explain it, but I've experienced it, and I can tell you that it's true. There's something really, really, really good about hitting rock bottom.
Your mind and your character are no different than your body and your muscles. If you want to grow as a person, you really have to make friends with pain. Embrace the discomfort. Enjoy the struggle.
A life without pain is a life without challenge. And a life without challenge is a life without growth. So not only do I embrace the challenge, embrace the pain associated with challenge and growth, but I even look forward to it in many regards. Some people think I'm strange, but sometimes I even ask for it. Send me a challenge, God, that you think should rid the world of pain. I invoke, please, give me some challenges here because I need to be tested. I need to be stronger. I need to grow in my resolve with whatever weakness is in my character.
It can be good for your business, and it is absolutely 100% good for you. There's an upside to hitting rock bottom. Defeat may be victory in disguise. The lowest ebb is the turn of the tide. When you feel dead in the water, that's good. When you feel like you're at the bottom, that's good. It means the next step is to wake the fuck up, rise the fuck up, and dominate in everything that you do. And the reason most people fucking win so big when they come back from rock bottom, the reason that when you watch TV, you hear these stories of people who made something, lost it all, went to the bottom, and then came back up even stronger is because the journey of getting to the place, that journey is what creates the tools, the mindset, the skill, the determination, the perseverance to win the long battle of success.
Pain is a beautiful thing. Challenge is what life is about. A life without challenge, a life without pain is a life without growth. And where there is no growth, there is stale, stagnant energy. And that's where most people live. Because most people's lives are designed around treading a path that is void of challenge. The minute they recognize challenge or pain, they move the other way. This is a primal instinct and normal and natural, but a weak perspective. Your aliveness is found in your pain. Embrace it, love it, and grow from it.
Life is life. It's tough sometimes. It gets tough every day, but we got to make it. No matter what it is, no matter what you're going through. Don't be so complacent with yourself. Don't get so relaxed with yourself. Don't be so comfortable with yourself. Be uncomfortable. Get yourself in a situation when you feel a little bit about a challenge. You're feeling something about being challenged. You're understanding that challenges are good for you. Challenges are going to make you better, going to make you stronger, going to push you through any adversity that you may face in life, because these things are intended for all of us to endure. But a lot of people don't understand that. A lot of people don't know how to go through it. A lot of people don't know how to weather the storm. But you, my friend, can do it. You have to do it. You must do it. Just think about that for a moment. It can get worse every day for you. It can get much, much worse tomorrow for you. It doesn't matter, but as long as there's breath in your body, as long as you're breathing, as long as you're moving, you're grooving. And that's important. So don't get so relaxed. Don't get so complacent. Don't suffer in a way where you feel like the suffering that you're going through, that it means it's over for you. Sometimes we got to go through something to get something more out of life.
When you're trying to avoid the pain, when you're trying to avoid the struggle, when you're trying to avoid the hard things in life, you are actively choosing to be average. You are actively choosing to be mediocre. And you are actively choosing to move further away from what you want in life. Because that hardship and that pain and that struggle and that frustration, they give you the skills that will forge you into a motherfucking champion. The easy route never pays well. The only route in life that pays well is the hard route. The struggle, the pain, the frustration, and the overcoming of those things. And not only do they pay, they fulfill you as well. Because it shows the people around you. It shows your kids, it shows your brothers, your sisters, your friends, your community, what is possible. And there's nobility in that.
You have two paths in front of you right now. One of them is going to be the harder one. It's going to be downright painful. You will have to force your brain to think in new ways. The other path is easy, much easier. You don't have to change anything. Everything in your life that you aren't happy about can be someone else's fault. But the end of that road isn't pretty. You will end up broken, searching for ways to numb your pain and your misery.
When things are going tough, when the war is at my back door, when there is a threat that's imminent, that's when it's showtime.
The bottom line is you've got to become uncomfortable. You need challenge, but that challenge comes in the form of throwing yourself off a cliff and then learning how to fly on the way down, or pointing to the stars and aiming to reach that shit, and hopefully you land on the moon.
When things are going bad, there's going to be some good that will come from it. Don't get all bummed out. Don't get startled. Don't get frustrated. Take that issue, take that problem and turn it into something good. Go forward.
You keep standing. No matter how rough the sea, you keep standing. No matter what, you don't give up. You keep standing, no matter what.
Who are you on those days you don't want to do things? It's easy to conquer when it's good weather. You got good sleep, work's going good, the family's good. But who are you on those days when all hell's broke loose? Your body's f***ed up, you're sore, you're depressed. Who are you on those days when shit's all f***ed up? That's the great divide. Those people who get up on those days when everything's f***ed up and still grind, that's the separator right there.
Life is about losing. As we get older, we lose our hair, we lose our teeth, we lose our mothers, our fathers, our sisters, and but it's the ones who overcome, they're lost in life and could shun away adversity and always willing to fight it. Every particular moment in life are the ones that are able to transcend and be able to spread the word to other people who's in that same particular genre as they are.
If you want a thing bad enough to go out and fight for it, to work day and night for it, to give up your time, your peace, and your sleep for it, if all that you dream and scheme is about it, and life seems useless and worthless without it, and if you gladly sweat for it and fret for it and plan for it and lose all your terror of the opposition for it, and if you simply go after that thing that you want with all of your capacity, strength and sagacity, faith, hope and confidence, and stern pertinacity, if neither cold poverty, famish or gulf, sickness or pain or body and brain can keep you away from the thing that you want, if dogged and grim, you besiege and beset it, with the help of God you'll get it.